pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilmember Irby? Here. Councilmember Page?
Here.
Councilmember Wasinger? Here. Councilmember Gray?
Present.
Councilmember Dolan?
Here.
Councilmember TRAKAS?
Present.
Councilmember Harder?
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
I move for approval of the journal of the meeting of September 25th, 2018. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Journal's approved. We have no bid openings this evening, so we'll move to communications.
Mr. Chair, we have no tax compromises this evening, so we'll move to zoning matters. Under zoning matters, item number 1, 6th District.
Receive and file.
So ordered.
Item number 2, 6th District.
Receive, file, and the county council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
We have nothing under road and bridge matters, Mr. Chair, so I'll move to other communications. Under other communications, item number 1, 4th District.
Receive, file, and the agreement be approved as recommended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 2, 7th District.
Receive, file, and the agreement be approved as recommended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 3, 7th District.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to hold this for a week.
So ordered.
Item number 4, all districts.
Receive and file. Same motion to item number 5. And that will be the order.
Item number 6, 5th District.
Receive and file. So ordered.
Item number 7, all districts.
Receive, file, and county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation. Same motion through item number 10, and that will be the order.
Item number 11, 6th District.
Receive, file, and the county council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
Item number 12, 6th District.
Receive, file, and the county council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation, please.
So ordered.
Item number 13, 7th District.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
Item number 14, 7th District.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
Item number 15, 5th District.
Same motion. So ordered. Add-ons, please.
Item number 1, 2nd District.
Please hold, and that will be the order.
Item number 2, 3rd District.
Hold on the order of business, please.
So ordered. Report of the county executive. Nothing further this evening. Report of special committees.
Please hold on the order of business.
Thank you. Public forum.
We have 10 speakers this evening, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. When your name's called, please come to the podium and adjust the microphone so that we can capture your comments and give your name and address for the record. And please try to keep your remarks to 3 minutes. First speaker.
First speaker this evening is Tom Day.
I'm Tom Day. I live at 29 Frederick Lane in Glendale. I'm here to speak against the potential rezoning of the Tower T property for residential development. Who will speak for Afton? Afton is about equally split between the 5th and 6th council districts. It is largely unincorporated. Its average property values and income levels are modest. Who will speak for Afton? Within the 5th council district are St. Louis Country Club, Log Cabin Country Club, Bogey Golf Club, Old Warson Country Club, Algonquin Golf Club, and Westboro Country Club. If any of these entities chose to rezone and sell their property for development, I think we know that numerous local governments and wealthy individuals would be ready to review and oppose such actions. Who will speak for Afton? In the last primary election, the voters of the 5th Council District spoke clearly. They rejected the leadership of the current county executive and their council representative. Who will speak for Afton? All members of the council have areas like Afton in your districts. Modest homes, modest incomes, and little political clout. Who will speak for Afton? You will. I ask you to speak wisely.
Thanks, Tom.
Next speaker is Kelly Jones.
Good evening, Kelly Jones, Gateway Air Conditioning Contractors, 2323 Sublette Avenue, 63110. So, once again, I am Kelly Jones with Gateway Air Conditioning Contractors, and I'm the Executive Director. We are a mechanical trade association made up of more than 120 HVACR contractors. I am here today in support of Substitute Bill Number 1 for Bill Number 136, introduced by Councilmember Wasinger regarding purchasing. For the record, I was here 5+ years ago in opposition to the original responsible bidder language, and today I am here to support the repeal of some of that language, specifically the language repealing the current responsible bidder requirement to participate in or maintain a Department of Labor-approved apprenticeship program for each craft and have active registered apprentices for each program. I never understood how this language came to pass in the first place, as I read it to be contradictory to St. Louis County's own mechanical ordinance. And here's what I mean by that. In this document, which is this one here, the mechanical ordinance, and I've tabbed the page that I'm referring to, the county lists a variety of ways people can obtain an apprenticeship license, of which one way is a Department of Labor program. If St. Louis County already allows multiple apprenticeship training paths, why, when developing projects of your own, would you deem these programs unworthy or inequitable? Recognizing a variety of apprenticeship training paths is not new to St. Louis County, nor should it be an obstacle to getting this substitute bill passed. In fact, it would be hypocritical if it were. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Michelle Roberts Bauer.
Good evening. I am Michelle Roberts Bauer. I'm the president of Associated Builders and Contractors. We are a commercial construction trade association representing contractors across the state of Missouri and into Kansas, and we are the proud sponsor of an apprenticeship program with a facility in the county in Fenton. I wanted to come and speak today in support of Bill 136 with the substitute and speak specifically to the removal of the mandate for an apprenticeship program for county work. I understand that this group has commissioned a disparity study, and that as part of that, apprenticeship programs were seen as a barrier to entry for folks engaging in the industry. That's because apprenticeship programs are complicated. They are wonderful. I really like them. I run one for a living. It's fun. We're a big fan of the quality education it provides. But we know that there are other ways to also train individuals. One of the things that's been really exciting as I have been joining you the last several weeks is there's been incredible conversation around the opportunities provided to folks as they enter a career in construction. I believe that we should be doing everything in our power to allow folks to come into the industry, receive top-notch training, so that they can go about achieving the American dream. The construction industry offers that. It offers that through apprenticeship programs. It offers that through craft training programs. It offers that through community colleges across the country that provide certificate training courses that I have no relationship with. But I believe in them, and I believe in the pathway that they help individuals enter. Companies are looking for the best way to invest in their people, because quite frankly, that's how they beat the other guy. When they have the best guy doing the best work, they win more projects. When they win more projects, that's more work for their guys. And in this competitive environment, making sure that your team is working every day is the most important thing you can do to helping to keep them. So thank you so much for engaging in this issue and for spurring some much needed and much appreciated conversation around the opportunities that are available within and to our communities through careers in construction. And I encourage you to support removing this mandate that chooses one training program over others and limits our opportunities for innovation as we look to address a critical workforce shortage. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next speaker is Yafet El-Amin.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Yafet El-Amin, and I am the Executive Director of MOCAN Construction Contractors Assistance Center. And as the committee and the members know, MOCAN has been quite active in bringing issues of inclusion forward to the committee as it relates to opportunities for minorities and females getting into the construction trades. MOCAN is a member-based organization, and we represent both members who have signed signatory agreements as well as members who have not signed signatory agreements. In 2015, MOCAN established its own pre-apprenticeship construction training program and an apprenticeship program. Our apprenticeship program was certified by the Department of Labor. Part of our desire to do the apprenticeship program came after the passage of legislation here, and in essence forced us to try to look at additional ways to get minorities and females into the trades. We no longer are operating the DOL apprenticeship program. However, our pre-apprenticeship program last year graduated over 150 men and women of color into construction. Without them having dual paths and paths for registered apprenticeship programs, as well as a path to work that may not include a non-registered apprenticeship program, dozens of those young men and women of color would not have work opportunities. We are in support of leveling the playing field, particularly after the completion of the disparity study, which in essence now will provide opportunities for more businesses of color and females to participate. So we urge the council to still continue to maintain its alignment with the disparity study and continue to provide opportunities for non-traditional construction workers to get into the trades. And historically, that has not happened through registered apprenticeship programs. So we are in support of leveling that field, opening up as many opportunities as possible for people to get to work. And so we appreciate your support of helping people, regardless of apprenticeship program status, to get into the construction trades and work and take care of themselves and their families. Thank you.
Next speaker is Adolphus Pruitt.
Adolphus Pruitt, NAACP, 4811 Delmar. I did pass out, I want to refer to some written testimony. There's just some highlights I want to highlight as relates to our support for Substitute Bill 1 for Bill number 136. Basically, what I say in so many words is that all the debate about this bill so far has been predicated really on two simple questions. One is that is the definition of a responsible bidder as it currently stands de facto PLA, for lack of a better term, and two is the county doing everything that it said it could do with respect to the disparity study and eliminating the disparities that are out there. What I want to do is jump to page 2, item F and G, which talks about the conditions that the disparity study outlined, and you know, we were fairly troubled about the last substitute at the last meeting. Just imagine the county spending $151 million in the construction field, and roughly 9 of those contracts going to women and minority-owned businesses. And when you total them all up together, all 9, it did not exceed $300,000 out of $151 million. Did not exceed $300,000. And so when the substitute came up last week about maybe from the threshold of 300,000, that actually did nothing. It made the situation worse. I am so grateful that you all killed that. I'm just so grateful. It was one of the worst things that could happen to a minority business enterprise program. The second thing is that when we talked about subcontractors, again, we're talking about 19% of it going to subcontractors, zero going to minority subcontractors, zero. And all this overlaps the same period in which this responsible bidder language was created, and it stands in fact. The one thing that nobody's going to talk about, I haven't talked about to date, if you go to item J on page 2 and item K and L. So MSD did a disparity study and a workforce study. MSD workforce study included both St. Louis City and St. Louis County. The workforce study came back and set an apprenticeship goal of 30% of the work hours for minorities, 7% for women. MSD spent roughly $248 million over the past fiscal year, and they were able to meet those goals. They was able to meet those goals, and those goals did not apply to any contractor who was not signatory to the union. The only people that had to provide apprenticeships to meet that goal were union contractors. The fact that they were able to do that, absence of trying to force non-union contractors to have apprenticeship program and workers, it basically demonstrates that this language it just isn't needed. It doesn't provide any impetus on getting more apprentices in the program. Same thing applies to the city of St. Louis. Workforce did a disparity study. They have goals, apprenticeship goals of 15%. Last year they exceeded them at 18%. Again, it only applied to those contractors that are signatory to the union. Didn't apply to non-union contractors. Again, you don't have to strap non-union contractors or prevent them from participating in the projects just to create apprentices. As a matter of fact, it was, I guess that was 2014 when O'Mara introduced the interim workforce bill. He didn't include goals for apprentices in there. Nobody has. But again, they want this language in here. At the end of the day, the bottom line is that the language is there. This language is there for one reason only. It's a PLA in disguise. It's to make sure that every dollar that county spends on the construction side goes to union contractors and union workers. And I won't even begin to go back in history with the electrical contractor, which started this stuff in the beginning when the general subbed it out to a minority, non-union electrical contractor and building one of the substations, police substations, and that's when all of this stuff started, and that's when O'Barry introduced that bill in the first place. If you go back
Adolphus,
and look at it, I'm sorry.
Can you summarize for us?
No, I'm sorry. It's Mr. Chairman, you reach a point where you're like, why does the other side have to be greedy? And why would they even parade up here African Americans to try to take dollars out of the mouths of other African Americans? That's what happened at that last hearing. It's ridiculous. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next speaker is Tim Day.
My name is Tim Day. I live at 7329 Nottingham, 63119. I'm here to talk about Tower T. We're going on 3 months since Tower T was prematurely shut down, without any public hearing, without any rezoning application, without any kind of town hall or outreach or anything like that, despite overwhelming public opposition. And at this time, there's no public driving range inside of 270 south of 40. There's no outdoor batting cages. You know, this is something that was taken from us unnecessarily. But that being said, I'm not completely pessimistic about the situation. Lisa Clancy, who recently won election into the county council, she'll be joining in January. She's pledged her support to our cause. And there's been some talk recently about the Parks Department potentially acquiring the land and turning it into a county park. I'm not sure what order of operations, what would have to happen for that to become a reality, or where we even begin with that. But I know that, Sylvan Springs Park had part of its land sold recently to Jefferson Barracks, and the land that Tower T is in is part of the same planning zone within the Parks Department as Sylvan Springs, so it doesn't seem completely far-fetched that some of that money could go towards acquiring other parkland within that zone, and I don't think there's a better opportunity to acquire parkland in that zone than the land that Tower T was on. You know, this is something, it's not going to be the same, it's not going to be what it was before, but we could still bring back the driving range and the batting cages and the mini golf for my kids and my kids' kids. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next speaker is William Lewis.
Good evening, council, committee members. My name is William Lewis. I live at 5671 Clemens, zip code 63135. I am the friend and brother-in-law of Mikhail Neal. In the spirit of Mikhail Neal and Townsend Norfolk, the two men who lost their lives on Friday, August 10th, due to a police chase by St. Louis County police officers, which was a violation of St. Louis County policy in regards to pursuits that discourages pursuits unless a serious crime has been committed. I am also appalled at the subsequent lie by a St. Louis County police spokesman who stated on August 16th there were no police chase, which was proven to be a lie by a video which captured the chase. Therefore, I call for the officers involved in the chase to be fired and prosecuted to the fullest of the law. I also call for the implementation of a truly independent civilian oversight board for the St. Louis County Police with full subpoena power. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker is Lisa Neal.
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Neal. I live in Lake St. Louis, Missouri, but I'm here today to speak about my brother-in-law, Mikhail Neal. In the spirit of Mikhail Neal and Townsend Woolfolk, the two men who lost their lives on Friday, August 10th, due to a police chase by St. Louis County police officers, which was in violation of St. Louis County's policy in regards to pursuits. That discourages pursuits unless a serious crime has been committed. Also, I'm appalled at the subsequent lie by a St. Louis County police spokesman who stated on August 16th there was no police chase, which was proven to be a lie by a video which actually captured the chase. Therefore, I call for the officers involved in the chase to be fired and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Also, I call for the implementation of a truly independent civilian oversight board for St. Louis County Police with full subpoena power. Thank you.
Next speaker is Phil Duval.
Reverend Phil Duval, 8434 Falmouth, Ferguson, Missouri. I stand as a representative on the Social Justice Commission for the Missouri Baptist State Convention, where Reverend Dr. Lyndon Bowie is our president. Our convention has about approximately 500 churches and several hundred thousands of congregants across the state. I stand here in support of the families that have just spoken, and to coin a phrase from the previous speaker, who will speak for Afton, I want to say who will speak for the McNeil and Townsend Woolfolk family. You know, several months ago, when the county police had been putting cardboard over cameras and doing the issues in Metrolink, this council made reference to investigating the county police from that behavior. And it was pushback from the so-called Civilian Citizens Review Board by police commissioners. So when we talk about independent study, we shouldn't run away from oversight and independent. So, Mr. Stinger, what I would ask is a review from 2001, where the late County Executive Buzz Westphal got ahead of, after the unfortunate incidents of the Jack in the Box shooting in 2000 and the Annette Green shooting in 2001, where Mr. Executive Westphal and Kurt Odenwald, who was a Republican at the time, was the chair, took it upon themselves to, on the short term, so this is a suggestion as a short-term goal, bringing an ad hoc committee to review the practices. And those practices would then be exposed to the general public based on what actually happened on August the 10th. And we don't have to read it through the newspaper and ask them. We can hear it from our elected officials who would take some leadership in it and then give it to the residents. That's proactive, not reactive. Now, we just met, Reverend Graham and myself and Dr. Bowie, we just met with the county police officials, and though they don't necessarily have an opinion, they understood the reason why there should be that type of review. That's on the short term. The long term, we can discuss what discussions we can have about independent review board or oversight. There are plenty of models. St. Louis County, we're behind the times, more so the county. When you look at nationwide police departments across this country, we are behind the times, and I will repeat it as many times as I have to come before this council. 1955 is when the police department was organized under its charter. Look at the language from 1955 to 1979. It is 2018. It is time for us to be a little more progressive and not stay stuck in the status quo.
Thanks, Phil.
Final speaker this evening is Reverend Dale Gray.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Reverend Darrell Gray. I live at 4358 Enright Avenue. I stand here as the chairperson of the Social Justice Commission of the Missionary Baptist State Convention. As Reverend Duval indicated, within this region, we serve about 200 churches. And so we're here tonight, and it's already been said, in the spirit of the Neal family and the Woolfolk family, and we stand because there's a mother who is in this audience, Miss Clara Cheeks, who has not yet reached closure in the death of her son. We're here because we think it's important that we continue to remind you that human life was lost, and it was lost under your watch. We're here to remind you that you have a responsibility to make sure that any processes, procedures, policies that govern people truly do that. We have some major concerns. We believe on the night in question that these two men died. We believe that there were police officers who deliberately or inadvertently acted inappropriately. We believe that. We don't have the investigation. We're waiting on that. We're waiting on the Highway Patrol investigation, and we're waiting on the Internal Affairs investigation. But we have reason to believe that there were police who acted inappropriately, rather deliberately or inadvertently. That happened. We know that human life was lost. A mother is waiting on the results of that investigation. A community is waiting on the results of that investigation. As Reverend Duval indicated, we haven't had an opportunity to meet with the chair and the vice chair of the St. Louis Police Commission, the Board of Police Commissioners. We have a high regard for that board. We have a high regard for the people that we met with. But we believe that there has to be a separation between a police board that is a supervisory board of police and an independent review board that has as its mandate more a community responsibility versus a responsibility to supervise police. We've always had, throughout this country,
not just in St. Louis County, not just in St. Louis City, but throughout this country, and particularly people of color, we've had a problem with policing police. Because we believe that in that, there is a lack of accountability and too often a lack of transparency. We have no reason to question the 5 individuals that you have on your police commission. We don't question the individuals, we question the process and we question the perception. And too often that perception becomes our reality. And so we know there were problems that night. We're hoping that as a result of that investigation, there'll be enough information, there'll be enough evidence that the chief can do his job.
That's 3 minutes, Mr. Chair.
And that in the chief doing his job, this board can do their job, and you'll have an opportunity with the evidence to do your job. We want to be optimistic, but we continue to be cautiously optimistic because we haven't seen much change. We have a family who needs to see change. We have a family that needs closure. But we also have a governmental entity that needs to move forward with the times to make sure that all citizens, regardless of color, can have a semblance of belief in the integrity, the transparency, and the accountability of one of our most vital elements, and that's our police department. Thank you very much.
No more speakers, Mr. Chair.
This concludes our public forum. Please proceed with introduction of bills.
Bill number 243, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to accept a grant of up to $25,000 from the Missouri Department of Economic Development, Division of Workforce Development, for support of an equal opportunity officer for programs and services related to the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, depositing and appropriating said monies as set forth herein, and authorizing the county executive to execute necessary contracts or other documents. Bill number 244, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to accept a grant of up to $171,077 from the United States Department of Justice, appropriating the same for support of forensic scientists and a DNA technician for the Police Department Crime Laboratory, authorizing the county executive to execute necessary documents. Bill number 245, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute an amendment to a contract with CCG Systems Incorporated for fleet management software for the Department of Transportation. Bill number 246, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance amending ordinance number 26,769 as amended by repealing and reenacting Section 1 pertaining to a grant from the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services for support of the Violent Death and Enhanced Opioid Surveillance Program. Bill number 247, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a contract with the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services for participation in a program targeted to respond to the opioid crisis. Bill number 248, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing the Department of Public Health to accept reimbursements totaling up to $150,000 from the City of St. Louis Department of Health in connection with services provided to patients of the Sexually Transmitted Infection Treatment Services Program, authorizing the county executive to execute necessary documents, and repealing ordinance number 27,156. Bill number 249, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a collective bargaining agreement with the St. Louis County Police Association, Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 111, for certain job classifications within the St. Louis County Police Department Crime Laboratory. Mr. Chair, that is all the bills.
Perfection.
Bill number 191, introduced by Councilmember Walton Gray.
Yes, please hold.
Bill number 191 will be held.
Bill number 202, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Please hold Bill number 202, and 202 will be held.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 208, introduced by Councilmember Walton Gray.
Please hold on order business.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill 208 will be held.
Bill number 221, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to hold Bill 221, and 221 will be held.
Bill number 237, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect Bill number 237.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 237 is perfected.
Bill number 238, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect Bill number 238.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 238 is perfected.
Bill number 239, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect Bill number 239.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 239 is perfected.
Bill number 240, introduced by Councilmember Erby.
Please hold on the order of business.
Bill number 240 will be held.
Bill number 241, introduced by Councilmember Tracas.
Move it, please. Move to perfect Bill number 241, please.
Second.
All in favor of perfection of Bill number 241?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 241 is perfected.
Bill number 242, introduced by Councilmember Wasinger.
I move to perfect Bill number 242.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 242 is perfected. Final passage.
Bill number 353, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to hold 353, and 353 will be held.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 136, introduced by Councilmember Wasinger.
Yes, I'd like to take it up, but I just want to make a couple comments before I do. I want to thank everybody who has been coming to the meetings recently, the hearing that we held, for all the input that we received on this bill. It has gone through a thorough vetting. We've received some good feedback and made some very constructive improvements to the bill. I think that if adopted, substitute Bill number 1 for Bill 136 is going to ensure that the procurement process employed by our county government is fair and unbiased, and that it will promote competition and it will be transparent. The legislation will not only improve the efficiency and oversight of our procurement process, but it will also eliminate provisions in our county code that currently excludes small and minority businesses from even being able to have a seat at the table to bid on county work. This, that particular provision was included in the county executive's disparity study, and it pointed out that that responsible bidder language was a barrier to entry for minorities, women, and veteran-owned businesses who are trying to compete for county work. So it is a good bill. It's going to offer some additional improvements, not only to that particular provision, but also with regard to oversight by the county council on how we spend our money, who serves on evaluation committees. It's going to be an overall improvement and a work in progress. And with that, I move to finally adopt substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 136.
Second.
All in favor of
Mr. Chair.
no, roll call for final passage of substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 136.
Councilmember Erby.
I'd like to just reiterate what Councilwoman Wasinger said about this bill eliminating barriers and ensuring fairness and inclusiveness. It's well worth us taking action on, and I'm really pleased that Colleen took this up and moved it forward. And she did get input from everybody. I mean, she took her time with it and didn't do it overnight, but took time to get opinions from others. And I appreciate those who did come out and help us understand how exclusive that bill was. We knew that when we did it, but we didn't have the support to change it. So I thank Mr. Pruitt from the NAACP, Yaphet Elamine, and all of the people who came out and supported this bill, as well as the minority participation. This complements that, and now we can move forward in St. Louis County with fairness and equality. So with that, I said aye.
Councilmember Page.
Aye.
Councilmember Wasinger.
Aye.
Councilmember Gray.
I got several calls from a lot of minority-owned businesses, and several spoke last week. So again, couldn't really decide. Both arguments were strong, but based on some of the calls I got, I'm going to vote no.
Councilmember Dolan.
I've heard from a lot of people as well, and I have seen throughout my career how the unions and apprenticeship programs, union and non-union, have done tremendous efforts, have gone and done tremendous efforts in enhancing the opportunities for minorities and women to get into the trades and stay in the trades. And, I think that's, I don't know if it's overlooked or just misunderstood, but it's one of the best pathways for minorities and women to get in to a good paying career through apprenticeship programs. So I vote no.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
I'd also like to second some of the words that were said here by Councilman Wasinger. I want to thank her for her due diligence on this bill. I believe she's been working on this since March of this year, and I've had the privilege of sitting in on some of the committee meetings and some of her meetings with constituents and other people, and she heard everybody, I believe, on all sides of this issue. This is a bill that's a lot different than what was originally proposed back in March, and the issues with safety and OSHA and things like that have been satisfied. And I think, too, that this will open up a lot of opportunities for people either to start businesses or to get into the trades. And my business is associated with the trades as well, and we can't get enough people of any kind. And we need people that want to be in the trades and that want to earn a great living. And whether they're non-union, union, women, veterans, anyone should be given the opportunity. And I think this will do that, as well as provide competition when it comes to county bids. And that competition will be new competition that maybe we haven't had in the past. And I think that can benefit the taxpayer of St. Louis County as well. But there are great training programs out there, union and non-union, private. We talked about the trade schools, the community colleges, and they all do a great job in their specific field, and they need to be brought to the table and be equal to others out there. And I think this bill will help do that in the long term. And it'll be interesting a year from now to go back and look at the progress that this will bring to St. Louis County. So with that said, I vote aye.
Mr. Chair, on substitute bill number 1 for bill number 136, there are 5 ayes and 2 noes.
I want to say something else, though, after Councilman Dolan spoke. I do want to be clear, though. I do not feel that the unions have done a good job with being inclusive and with engaging minorities. I'm just not sure that cutting out the apprenticeship program is going to help. But I don't want to make it seem as if I agree that unions are inclusive. They are not. I've had several meetings, being elected for years, and no matter how many meetings we have, things haven't really changed. So I have to say I beg to differ on that point, but I'm not sure if this is the vehicle for that.
Can I make
Sure.
Just a quick point. Someone pointed out last week that they can still have apprenticeship programs. It doesn't keep them from having them. So now let's see how fair they are. If they really want them, let's see if they could continue to have them. Because I know too many people who could complete the apprenticeship program, and to go into the journeyman's program, you have to have a job. And so many times minorities are laid off once they finish apprenticeship and they cannot go into the journeyman's program. They cut you off right there. So no, they have not been fair. But if they want to be fair now, let's see if they will continue to have the apprenticeship programs, whether it's mandated or not.
I would imagine if any business, building trades, anything, if you show up and go to work and can pass a drug test, you're going to work these days. So
Oh, what a racist remark.
that's not racist.
Yes,
That's
it
any
is, because
business.
that's what you say
I
when you
didn't
try to
say, I
say.
said any business, any
Yes,
people.
it is. Why would you say that?
Because
Why
anybody who goes
why
into
wouldn't
work
they show up?
I didn't say any certain people. I just said
I get
anybody.
tired of
I said
hearing
anybody. I mean, that's my job. I help minorities and women get into the trades. That's what I do.
Right, that's why you voted for this bill last time.
I'm telling you, anybody who wants, any person who wants a job these days, if you're willing to go to work, there's jobs available. I don't care what you look like, where you come from, who you are, there's work out there.
Well, the
Mr.
thing
Chair.
with the unions and in most companies, it's referrals. If you don't know the job is there, and you're only being referred by the people that's in that sector or in that pool, that's why you don't get a lot of minorities involved in union jobs
It's
or in the
posted on the
public,
county
in the private
workforce
sector.
development. I mean, and
That doesn't have anything to do
all these
with it.
places,
You
they're
can't
Councilman
say
Dolan, just let her
there are
finish, and I'll go
jobs
back to you if you want.
out there
Go
as
ahead.
if people know where to go and just get those jobs. Those jobs are and it's been there forever. That your son, your nephew, your cousin, your uncle, that's how these people were getting jobs. So that's not a factual statement.
Councilman Wassinger, and then Councilwoman Wassinger, and we'll go back to Councilman Dolan if he has.
I just want to reiterate the point that the provision in the code mandates an apprenticeship program. All we are doing here is removing that. It is not preventing anyone from having an apprenticeship program, but it also allows others to bid on the work, even if they are trained in other ways. And I think that's the most important point. Apprenticeship programs, nobody is knocking them in terms of training, but it's opening the door for others to compete who may not be able to have a Department of Labor approved apprenticeship program. And that is why that provision is a barrier to entry and needs to be removed.
Right.
Okay, Councilman Dolan, any follow-up?
Again, in general, people are looking for people to work. The trades obviously need people to work. I say people. When I say people, I mean people. I don't designate which kind of people or whatever. To your point, Councilman Gray, yes, it used to be like that, but there's been tremendous advances through the trades intentionally to be inclusive. We're going out of the way. We run these programs and we reach out to all the churches, we reach out to representatives, elected officials. We go everywhere we can. We're having a program tomorrow with showing people all about the program, and still we don't even get enough people to show up to run a class sometimes. We have to go around and scrape to get people there. So the opportunity's there, and it's listed, the county workforce, slate, all kinds of publications at the schools, everywhere. So the availability is there, and hopefully people will take advantage of it. That's why it's there.
Any other comments? Anyone? Councilman TRAKAS.
I think put succinctly, what Councilwoman Wassinger's bill does is eliminate a facet of exclusivity and replaces it with inclusivity. And that can never be a bad thing. So kudos to you, Councilwoman Wassinger, for your steadfast determination to get this done.
Okay, Jen, can you call the vote?
The results of the vote?
The results.
Yeah, on substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 136, there are 5 ayes and 2 noes.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 136 is finally passed.
Bill number 217, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Mr. Chairman, as you know, I've had some questions regarding this measure for some time, and I just wanted to take an opportunity before I act on it to praise both the Department of Parks, particularly Mr. Tom Ott, and Great Rivers Greenway, and its director, Ms. Troutman, for working with me, meeting with me, answering my questions. It was very refreshing exchange we've had over the last several weeks, and they managed to resolve all of my concerns satisfactorily. So with that, I will move Bill number 217 for final passage.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 217, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 217 is finally passed.
Bill number 226, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of Bill number 226.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus.
Aye.
Councilmember Harder.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 226, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 226 is finally passed.
Bill number 232, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of bill number 232.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 232, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 232 is finally passed.
Bill number 233, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of bill number 233.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 233, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 233 is finally passed.
Bill number 234, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of bill number 234.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 234, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 234 is finally passed.
Bill number 235, introduced by Councilmember Wassinger for Councilmember Harder.
I move for final passage of bill number 235.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 235, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 235 is finally passed.
Bill number 236, introduced by Councilmember Dolan.
Move for final passage of bill number 236.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 236, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 236 is finally passed.
We have nothing under resolutions this evening, Mr. Chair, so I'll move to unfinished business. Under unfinished business, item number 1, 3rd District.
Hold on the order of business, please.
So ordered.
Item number 2.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation, and that would be the orders.
Item number 3, 7th District.
Mr. Chairman, please drop this from the order of business. I've asked information, and my staff has, on this person from the executive's office and have not gotten anything for that, so I will, I'll just take this away from the agenda until
Okay, so
the
ordered.
future.
Item number 4, 6th District.
Receive, file, and the new liquor license be approved as requested, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And moving on to new business, Mr. Chair, we have 2 prepared orders this evening.
I move for adoption of orders number 1 and 2.
Second.
All in favor of adoption of orders 1 and 2?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Orders number 1 and 2 are adopted. Any comments from any council members?
I have a comment.
Yes.
I'm really concerned about the tone of the meeting tonight, and just want to say that, you know, we talk a lot about St. Louis and where we are compared to other cities and whatever. And as long as we have the attitudes that when we start talking about minorities or women getting jobs, anybody other than the status quo, and then we make statements like, well, if they're willing to show up and pass a drug test and come to work or whatever, as long as we have that mentality, we're always going to be right where we are. It's sad that we have that mentality, because now I think that the younger generation coming along does not think like that. I think we're going to be better off for it. I'm glad that our council is changing, and maybe that some of the young people coming on won't have the same attitude. I'm done, that's it.
Well, I guess I'll have to respond to that one.
And I'm sure you would.
Well, I think I'm entitled to.
You are. You are.
I'm not racist by any means. As a matter of fact, like I said, we're doing everything we can. I work for a program, Building Union Diversity, and a couple other programs, and that's, inclusion is what we do. When I say people don't show up, I mean white, black, Hispanic, Asian, whoever. If you don't show up for work and if you don't pass a drug test, then they don't keep you on. It's how that was racist, I don't know. I'm just saying in general, people have to go to work. young, old, whatever. I mean, it's just a fact. And younger people, we're having a hard time getting younger people to come in. That's not no matter what they look like. The employers don't care what you look like if you show up and give them a day's work. I mean, a lot of employers don't even meet some of their employees. They just, as long as you're willing to show up and work, that's all we're asking. That's all anybody who's an employer wants. And if you're a union and you provide for your membership, you try to get them to show up and do the same thing. It's just a way of life. It's not a racist thing. It's a matter of, it's people. We got to get people that want to work, and whatever they look like, it doesn't matter. Just somebody that will work. And that's what I was referring to. Now, how I got racist on, I didn't say any race. I'm just saying, because we've had as many white people as black people. We don't have many Hispanics that I know of in the trade that I'm in, but there are in other trades. And if they're there and they work, they're still working.
Well, we were talking about inclusion, and then you made this statement. That's why it got connected the way it did. That's what we were talking about.
Well, and I did say that there was a time when it wasn't as easy to get into any of the trades specifically, and they made a concerted effort to address that and change that, and that's what they've been doing. I mean, nobody's, I don't know, they're just trying to get people to work. Women, men, young, old. That's the problem that's going on right now, no matter who you are. So I don't know how that got racist, but that was never.
Because every time I've ever talked to anybody in the unions about inclusion, that is the first thing they say, Pat. So you said it again here tonight. What I'd like to know is what percentage of the people that go through the apprenticeship programs who actually get jobs when they're finished.
Well, the programs we've got, 87% of them have gotten jobs. That's just the program that we run. Now, the different locals, I don't know what their percentage are, but again, when you say apprentices go through, there's apprentices that look like all kinds of people sitting in this room. They're not so.
What percentage of those apprentices, they said last week that there was 600 people in the apprenticeship program.
In which trade? That's one specific trade.
I'm not sure. I think the guy was from the carpenters. And I'd just like to know what percentage of those people are minorities or women.
They have a pretty good percent. I don't know the numbers. I couldn't tell you, but if you're going to take one on, the carpenters do a very good job of inclusion. We've had quite a few of the people who've gone through our program that have gone into the carpenters and the laborers, some of the other skilled trades as well. And I don't know. I couldn't sit here and speak to their numbers. I don't know.
Okay. Councilman Hart.
Mr. Chair, not to change the subject, but I will, is that today we had a recognition of a lot of student achievements that were here today. 33 of probably some of the best and brightest in the St. Louis area, and I want to say congratulations to them. We said that to them when they were here today. We read their bios. I was very impressed by the 33 students that were here. I don't know when they sleep because of what they do and how they do it and the achievements that they've accomplished, and a lot of them are juniors in high school. And it's amazing what they've done and what they'll hopefully provide for our community in the next 20, 30, 50 years. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do and pay my Social Security. So.
Okay, any other comments?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks.